What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Hunting with a Passion podcast. This summer, we've been talking about scouting different areas, and this last podcast on part one, we were talking about scouting the Midwest and ideally Kansas and Missouri area. We're going to dive into part two of that episode, so I hope you enjoy.
So we talked about cameras, talked about how the South is like totally different than like the way you like saying how you guys hunt. We kind of hunt like that on my pap's farm, but like now I'm hunting, like my goal this year is to kill a deer on public this year because I've never killed a deer. I've only killed a turkey on public. So my goal this year is to kill a deer on public this year. So I'm trying to key in on a lot of like public spots and like how to hunt that. How to scout it too, because I've never really scouted public land before. I just had the same old tree stands. I don't know how like you guys are, but like growing up, my pap was like, you hunt the same tree, the same ladder, like it's my lucky stand. You're in the same tree every time. Which with farmland, you can kind of do that because like the deer kind of like go to almost the same time to the fields usually. I mean, they're used to human scent because the tractors and the farmer being around and stuff all summer. But like moving here to Western PA where it's all mountains of deer, it's like a whole new ball game. They're a lot more skittish, they're really smarter. They don't show themselves as much. I'm thankful we have that cornfield because I saw several deer in it, especially once it was cut and they were living in it for a while. But have you hunted much public down there in the South? Like, what's it like down there?
I've hunted a little bit. What was it? A couple of years ago, me and a buddy, we were building a shop for a guy, and his land butted up right next to some public. So we were like, hey, let's one day after work or something, let's just bring our climbers and let's just go in there. And so I ended up killing a deer that evening, a doe. But I've not done a whole lot of it. I've hunted some big blocks of timber though before. Like my brother, he had a piece of property he hunted for several years, and he hunted one ridge for 5 or 6 years, something like that. Well, probably like 3 or 4 years. And deer using that ridge, using it year after year. It was a nice ridge with acorns on it, and then there was a creek below it, and then our agricultural field. And so it worked pretty good. They would head down there and all that kind of stuff. Well, then like one year the following year we started hunting it. We weren't seeing no deer. I mean, it went from these deer using this trail. This is the ridge to be on. Something same old stand, same old stand. Well, we did a little scouting. Deer moved to the next ridge over, and they started using that one. And it was kind of a better in the next holler over, the next ridge over. It was kind of a better funnel. I mean, it was like 3 or 4 hollers all kind of coming in and really funneling deer down. It was 4 or 5 trails all meeting up, making an X pretty well, and before it hit down to that culture field. So we moved the stand, 100 yards to the next ridge over. Boom, we're back in the deer again. So that's kind of some experience I've had, and I think that's kind of what you're talking about. You can't necessarily hunt the same old tree over, year after year. Either the deer get, figure out you're there, or they just change their pattern. You got to figure that out.
Right.
And we only had to move 100 yards.
Yeah. I think that's all I'm looking forward to mostly this year, because like last year I hunted only ladder stands, and this year I bought like a complete mobile setup. I mean, I had a couple hang-ons here and there that I would throw up in the tree and stuff like by the cornfield and stuff, but like this year I got like lightweight ladder sticks. I wanted to go for the whole what's it called? I call it harness hunting, but anyway, I was gonna go for that. Yeah, saddle hunting. I was going to go for that whole setup, but it's just too expensive right now. And, maybe it'll come down in price. I mean, look at cell cameras. They used to be a couple $100, and now I can get one at Walmart for $80. So who knows? The price might go down. Yeah. But I got a whole lightweight setup. So I'm looking, like, I was thinking about this the other day, like, you don't have to sit there and wait on the deer. Like, it's like a chess match or a checkers match or whatever. Like, I can play in their field, like I can play their game. Like if they're moving, like you said, with the next ridge over, I can move trees, I can make a move. And so I'm just growing up like the way I did, hunting the way I did. This is all new to me, so I'm really excited about trying this and like, okay, I can actually pick a tree that I don't have to carry a freaking ladder stand into the woods. That's like sweating my balls off in the summer trying to set it up. I can, throw it on my back like a backpack and switch trees, switch ridges or whatever, and just figure out what they're doing. And, if there's a deer that I have him on the trail and I think he's going to come in this trail, but he comes a different way, I can move to a different tree. I can even hunt on the ground too. Like that's something that I've never really thought of. And now like the more and more I'm getting into this industry, I'm meeting people like, oh yeah, I didn't see anything today. This morning. So I just got out of my tree and walked around for the, middle of the morning during the early afternoon. And I saw, a buck feeding over here and I just made a move and got in position and got him when he came in. So, okay. So like in the South, do you guys do a lot of still hunting? Do you guys move around a lot more? Or is it just like, okay, my pap said this tree's good, so I'll sit here? Or, how does that work for you guys?
Growing up, that's how it was. Just sit right here. We sat there all day. My dad has the patience of a clam, man, and so we sat right there. He could sit daylight to dark. He can't do that anymore. But I mean, he'd bring his Bible, he'd bring some food, he'd bring something, read, do whatever, and spend some time, And us kids, we were ready to go back home by 8 o'clock in the morning. Let's just go. But now, I mean, we hunt a lot of ladder stands. And we bought some hang on stands. Those are nice. You can move around a little bit. I bought a climber a few years ago, and people either love a climber or they hate it. I like mine.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a preference, I think, because it is nice. Because this last year, I went kind of closer to the bedroom of the deer about mid October, kind of an October low, if you will, trying to get a little closer to the bed, trying to find some deer movement. And I hunted 2 days in a row and 2 mornings in a row. And I had 2 does about 70 yards from me make the same path both mornings in a row. Was at a bow range. So that was nice. Just climb down out of your tree,
Yeah.
move down, find a good tree, climb up that thing. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't ever to harvest a deer, but I was able to get deer closer, than I was. I was able to get where they were coming through. So that makes it nice. Something my dad was really good at, and I'm trying to be good at it too, is he was really good about just with like rifle season, just walk through the woods, sit down for 10 minutes,
Listen.
walk another like 50 yards, sit down for a little bit, or just stand for a few minutes behind a tree and continue on. He killed several deer doing that. I mean,
we tried that last year. Because like
that does work. You got to be quiet.
Oh yeah, and it helps when you have snow on the ground too. We tried that last year. Me and my buddy were sitting over the clover pot, and we didn't see anything. I'm like, dude, it's last day of rifle season. We got to do something. And he had a buck tag, and I'm like, we're gonna move. And I was like, I think I know where they are because during bow season they were sneaking behind me, and I know like where this trail comes out that they've been sneaking behind me. Like we couldn't climb into where that trail was because it was like this, and there's no way you're getting down there without tearing stuff up. So we snuck out of this one area. He sat down and I sat down. For some dumb reason, he sat like 20 yards to my left, and I'm like, dude, you need to like sit next to me because I wouldn't like. He's never shot a deer, and I know like what the rush goes through you when you see a deer that close for the first time. He's never seen a deer like when he's hunting.
When you're sitting on the ground, it's a different, totally different.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, it gets my heart pumping more on the ground than up in the
stand. Oh yeah,
I mean,
that's why I want to hunt out of a deer blind sometime, but on the ground. But we don't have a lot of good areas to do that because it's not flat enough. But we're sitting there, and like we got on this like ridge, and we sat like on the ridge that overlooked this creek bottom and stuff, and we're sitting there for like 10 minutes, and my one buddy texts me. He's like, hey, any luck yet? And I'm like, no, we're just chilling, seeing if we can find anything. And I send that text, and I look up, and I see in this like cedar pine tree area. It's like a couple rows of them, and he's just like this buck's ducking through the branches, trying to work his way through it. And I like trying to get my cousin's attention. He's like 20 yards, so I can't really talk to him. I'm like, what do I do? So I look over, and he's like, his gun is leaning up against the tree, and he's over there playing games on his phone. I'm like, dude, pay attention. So I whipped out my phone, and I was like, dude, deer, like right in front of you. And he like looked up. He's like, where? And I'm like, over there. And he's like, oh, and he like gets all excited, and he like tries to turn around to get his gun. But when he turned around, like he bumped the tree and it made a noise, and the deer stopped. And he looked at me and was like, don't move. And then the deer like flicked his tail, looked away, and I was like, all right, grab it. And he grabs it. And he had everything lined up. The deer started to move again. I grunted at it for it to stop. It stopped again. He had a perfect shot, and he pulled the trigger, and nothing happened to his gun. So,
oh man,
yeah. So I like you saying, moving around and stuff like that. That would have never happened if we were sitting in a tree still. Like, and that's where
yeah.
I want to get better at that. I want to get better at, scouting. I want to get better at spot and stalk, like that type of thing. Maybe even going to a ridge and glassing and stuff like that. But there's a lot of things that I'm trying to work on this year. I'm having a buddy of mine. He's trying to coach me along different things, so I'm trying to figure out things with that. Do you have any goals for this upcoming year that you're going to try to accomplish besides kill a nice big Indiana buck?
Hey, that'd be a pretty good goal for myself. Oh no, I mean not really. I mean we're all out there trying to kill a nice deer. We've had a few good deer on camera this year. Really, I mean, I could tell you this. I mean, like an overall goal for like our farm that we got about 150-acre farm. Most of it's fields. We only got about 20 acres of woods, something like that. But back when I was a kid, it was all in CRP, and it was all kind of in a conservation, like leave the field alone type of thing for the deer. And we plant back, back in the 80s, really was in the early 90s.
Yeah, yeah.
Was the prime time then, planting food plots, all that, and deer lived on our farm. So the past couple years and still rocking on is trying to get deer to live on our farm.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 150 acres sounds like a lot, but we don't have the timber. All the neighbors got the timber, and so a lot of times, man, I got the first week of September to kill one of the bucks I've got on camera all summer long. Come October, for sure, he's in the woods on the neighbors, and he'll be there till the rut or December. You might see him a little bit in October, and then he'll be gone. He won't come back till December. So, our goal is to get deer to stay on our farm. They live here in the summer. They live here in the fall. They stay here all year long. Because we get deer, their summer home's our farm.
Yeah.
Season comes around.
They have
not
the
all
food
of them.
and everything.
You know what I'm saying?
Might as well not move.
Yeah, so trying to make the habitat, letting some of the fields grow up. We burned some of the fields this spring, letting some new growth. Let it try to go back to the natural part. Some of the backfields around the food plot, and their stands areas and stuff. I've dug a few little ponds kind of in the woods. I mean, they're not much, but when it rains, it'll hold some water. Deer got some water then, that they can use. So trying to get it and stay out of a few areas that'll be a bedding area. I think the problem what hurts us is I think our deer bed several hundred yards away from our farm, off in the woods, and so from bed to food's kind of a long distance, and there's a lot in between, neighbors' farms and stuff that hunt. And so if we can get the deer, I think, to bed closer or to bed on our farm and parts of it, that is a pretty big goal for us. So we're trying to get that to, and hold deer. If you can hold deer, you got them. So
yeah. Have you thought about talking to your neighbors about hunting on their farm, or are they like they hunted themselves, or
they hunt themselves?
Okay.
I mean, everybody around here hunts. Everybody says they turkey hunt around here, but not everybody turkey hunts. But everybody hunts around here. That is a fact. That's you got guys that I'm sure it's all across the United States, but rifle season comes around. That's a national holiday.
Yeah.
Everybody's going hunting in the woods. they half those guys, they ain't been in the woods all year. They ain't put a camera, ain't done nothing. They're just going to their favorite tree, and they're
Mm-hmm.
going to sit down and shoot. The brown thing comes by.
Their favorite
I mean,
five
so
gallon
there's a
bucket
lot of
flipped upside down.
yeah.
I found a
So,
couple
but
of those this year.
there's a farm, yeah, there's a farm right behind us. It's about 130-acre farm, and it's really set up nice. Got some fields, a lot of woods, really nice. And before my neighbor had bought it, there were some people that owned it that allowed us to hunt it. So I've hunted that farm a bunch, mainly turkey, but I've deer hunted it some. But he's got buddies that come in and hunt. So there's several people that hunt it. He's got a son that hunts. He's got some,
Yeah.
I think maybe a few grandkids now hunt. So that's kind of everybody's story. I got nephew, I got a grandson, I got da
Yeah.
da da da.
Yeah.
My sister, brother's uncle hunts, type of thing.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get permission on that. A lot of places it's hard to get permission for deer hunting.
Right. Yeah. Now,
But
speaking of
we
permission, do you have any like good tips for talking to someone about getting permission? I'm mainly talking for me as well as the listeners, but like I struggle with that because like growing up, I just hunted my grandpa's farm. I didn't have to get permission. Now moving to an area I don't know anybody. Thankfully, I met this kid or his dad. I'm lucky to have them, and we're also lucky to have a lot of public land around us and a lot of good public land. And that's public land gets a lot of bad rap, but if it's done right, you can have good opportunity. But do you have any good suggestions on getting permission?
I'm no good at it. But I say that it depends on where you go in the country.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the United States.
Right.
Around here, it's hard to get permission. Anymore to do anything.
Yeah.
Even to like coon hunt, everybody hates coons, care less about them. But I don't do that much anymore. But it gets harder just even to do that.
Yeah. Well, who wants a bunch of people running around their property in the middle of the night?
Yeah. Well, then, we went out to Nebraska this spring and turkey hunting. We were hunting public ground, didn't have no luck. We started knocking on doors, and man, just about everybody told us yes.
Yeah.
You can't do that back here at home. So
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of different parts of the country, just how it is.
Yeah.
But what I've always kind of been taught, and I try to do, and is when you go on somebody's place, obviously just be respectful. Try not to start out your line with, "Hey, my name is so and so. I'd like permission."
Right.
Try to get to know their name. Find something in the yard. If there's fishing poles in against the mailbox, or not mailbox, but the front door of the porch or something, or back of the truck. Hey, you like fishing? Try to just strike up a quick conversation, maybe just a little bit. And if you can, the opportunity arises, just tell them a little bit about yourself. That way they know a little bit about you. Because when somebody rolls up on your place,
right, you're like, who is this guy?
We live in a strange world. It's crazy. Back when my dad was a kid, they go anywhere they wanted to, nobody cared. But it's a different world we live in.
Yeah.
So
in PA, it used to be the rule. Like my pap was telling me this, and part of it when I was younger too was kind of the same way. But as I've lived here longer, I've started to realize. But like, if it wasn't posted, it was fair game. Like you could just roll up and hunt, and like, which most of the time where I hunted, everybody knew everybody, so everybody knew each other by each other's like pickup truck. They're like, oh, that's so and so's hunting, gotcha. But like, it's I talked to a guy about turkey hunting in April. Yeah, end of April. I was knocking on doors, and I was actually fishing the guy's creek because it was like public, And so I went up to him and I was like, hey, I was fishing down at your creek down here, and I just happened to see some turkey tracks. I was like, you care if I turkey hunt? And I had my younger cousin with me. And this was after I killed my turkey, and I was trying to get him a bird. And so I used him as a crutch. I was like, hey, I'm trying to teach this young kid how to turkey hunt here. He's like, have you ever killed a bird? And I was like, yes, sir. Shot one last week. Showed him a picture of him. He goes, oh, good for you. He's like, did you call him in? I was like, well, I had some help, but yeah, we got him in, whatever. He's like, yeah, I don't care. I was like, do you need me to like, give you my number or anything? He's like, nope. He's like, what day? And I was like, told him the day. He's like, all right, sounds good. And we shook hands, and pretty much went on our way then, but like he didn't really care where I hunted or anything, just as long as, I didn't mess up anything. So I saw some deer tracks when I was out scouting there. I'm gonna probably try to talk to him here pretty soon, see if I can get in there again. But I mean, I probably do have permission. But one thing that I found out is like if you're telling them, because a lot of people are like gun shy and stuff like that. Like they don't like people shooting around their houses and stuff. So if you're like, oh, I'm only gonna bow hunt it, a lot of times that you'll get permission about it. That's what I've been told, and that's what I found out last year a little bit. So
it is easier to get permission to bow hunt because, like my brother and I've talked a little bit about it, where he was hunting, we had to move the next ridge over. The guy that owned it, he owned like 100 something acres. Well, then he had 17 acres, kind of almost landlocked, if you will. And we got permission through the other landowners to get back in there. And he asked him, "Hey, can I bow hunt? I know you're a big rifle hunter, you're a big deer hunter. Can I bow hunt? And then I won't be in here during rifle season."
yeah,
And he said, "Sure." Got along good. But I mean, just trying to, look, don't show up somebody's house in camouflage, just, normal clothes. Try to look presentable because, I mean, if they don't know who you are, the first thing they're judging is what you look like,
right,
and how you talk and stuff. But I mean, I get told no more times than not, and
yeah,
everybody does. Some places they give me a little bit of hope, and I'll be like, "Hey, I know you ain't giving me permission for this year. Would it be all right if I come back next year and just ask you again if it'd be all right if something changes?" And a lot of times they say, "Yeah, that's fine. You come back." Now, if I'm going to get it or not, I don't know.
right,
But I have the invite from the landowner to come back.
yeah, yeah,
I haven't invaded his space to where he's like, "Get out of here, man. I don't want to ever see you again." And you get some of those, but like I asked on a farm this year about turkey hunting, the guy said, he said, "I don't have that many turkeys," which he does. He's got more than he thinks because it's just right along the gravel road and you can listen to him. But he was like, "My nephew hunts and he hunts some turkeys," and he goes, "I don't want them all killed out." And I said, "Okay, I understand." I said, "Well, can I come by next spring and ask you if it'd be all right?" He said, "Yeah, you can come on back, no problem." So that gives me a little bit of hope. Come back. He might tell me no, he might, but at least I'm building a little bit of a
right,
relationship with that landowner. And, I'm not then this coming up spring, a total stranger coming up to him. We've established something. Um, and I think probably that's how you're going to get some permission is being persistent on the guys that don't mind you coming back and asking every year, even if you're getting told no. Your luck might change. At least in that, like I said, at least in that time, you're building a little bit of relationship with them, and eventually down the road that might pay off to be able to get in there. Oh, and
yeah,
I've also asked for, "Hey, will you let me hunt for this particular day, especially on turkey hunt? Let me hunt in there one day, and I will. I won't." I said, "If you want me to sign papers, you want me to do this, let me in there one day." And I've had some luck with that. You could do that with deer hunting. John Mark, he did that with deer hunting on a bean field. He told the landowner, he said, "Hey, I want to hunt 2 weeks, first 2 weeks of bow season." He goes, "After that, I'll pack up and leave, and you'll never see me again, till next year or something." And the guy's like, "Yeah, that's fine." You know, so narrowing down your days, like, "Hey, I'll just be in here this amount of time." That way I feel like the landowner doesn't feel like, "Man, this guy's going to be my property all the time." You've
right,
limited yourself, you know,
yeah,
to, and, if you stay, I feel like if they let you in, you stay by that, you keep in contact with them. "Hey, I got my stand out. I'm out. Thank you for letting me hunt." You ought to have a free door back in there next year when you go
oh,
to ask again. It
yeah,
shouldn't be any.
yeah. One thing he told me, I feel like it depends on the
Yeah.
situation, and I feel like it's better too if they can put like a name to a face and stuff like that. Because that guy,
Yeah.
that was 3 months ago. That guy's not gonna remember who I am, probably. So, so yeah, I'm finding that out. But I appreciate you coming on here, and I know you're really busy and want to get back with your family, but I appreciate you coming on here, sharing us some tips and stuff like that. So for guys that listen that are from the South, just some ideas for their hunting season and stuff like that. So
Sure
looking
thing. I
forward to
appreciate you letting
having you.
me on.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, and looking forward to having you in Indiana Deer Camp in a couple months, short months, hopefully.
Looking forward to that. Yeah. Yeah, we'll put what we're talking about to the test then.
Hopefully, yeah. So anyway, well, good talking to you, Jeremiah, and have a good rest of the night.
All right, you too, Seth. We'll see you.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of that podcast. We talked about everything under the sun, Midwest for the most part. Even got into some waterfowl, talking about that. So I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to be talking about next week, hopefully, on how to set up your channel for hunting. I know it can be difficult to post things on social media, especially like TikTok, where they censor a lot of that stuff. So I'll be talking to a friend of mine about that and how he is able to get viewers and stuff like that to post his cool content. But while you're waiting for that next episode to come out, check out Slick Trick Broadheads. I'm a field ambassador for them. I enjoy the Viper series. They have very good field tip accuracy and good cutting edge on contact when you're shooting your animal. So check them out. They're really good, very reasonably priced broadheads, and a good group of guys there. So check them out, but stay tuned. Like and subscribe the channel. Share with your friends so they can stay tuned for the next podcast and the next shows coming out. Looking forward to deer season, so stay tuned for the podcast and other videos coming up.